Hello guys, in today's video we are going to calculate the thrust of jet engine, especially a turbojet engine in takeoff conditions with very few inputs to the problem. Now the station numbering in a turbojet engine is like this. If I go and search it, the station numberings of the turbojet engine, I'm going to have this. Now, in a turbojet engine like this, we're going to have the ambient airflow that is going to go to the engine via the inlet from station 1 and then going to the compressors starting from LPC and then HPC and then goes to the burner and then turbine stages HPT, LPT, and then the afterburner if it exists, and then finally it will go to the nozzles, which could be convergent, divergent, or any variant, and then from station 9, it's going to pour back into the ambient atmosphere again. Now, in all of this engine, we're going to have the airflow, the mass flow of air from the ambient, which is going to the engine intake, added by the fuel mass flow, which is added into the inside burner and is ignited. So, this is the station numberings, and by using the conservation of momentum, linear momentum, we get to the formula that is below here, and I'll explain it from now on. Now, in the formula that we have here, the thrust of the engine, the net thrust, using from conservation of linear momentum, we have the m dot 9, which is the mass flow of the fluid, which is air, and the fuel mass flow at the station 9 outside of the nozzle times its speed of the flow, subtracted by the airflow at the intake of the engine times the airspeed or the aircraft speed. Now, in takeoff conditions, the general assumption is that the V0 is going to be equals to 0. And then by doing so, we get to this basic formula, which equals the gross thrust of the engine, which is just simply the mass flow of the total fluid, air, plus the fuel mass flow times the speed of the fluid going out of the engine. Now, the inputs of our problem is the airflow and the intake of the engine is 100 kilograms per second, which equals 220.462 pounds of mass per second. And then the typical assumption is that V0 equals 0. The fuel's mass flow has assumed to be 2, which represents a 2% fuel to air ratio, and this is the typical LHV, low heating value, of a typical hydrocarbon fuel like Jet A, 42,000 kilojoules per kilogram, and V9 equals 900 meters per second. This represents the high-speed exhaust jet from station 9, which is the outlet of the nozzle, outlet of the engine. So this calculation, basically the thrust is the amount of airflow times its speed, which is added from the first part of the engine to the final part of the engine. When it goes through the different stations, it's going to have a lot more speed. Now, how do we calculate that? We're just going to use this calculation now. It's going to equals the m dot 0, the airspeed, the airflow at the inlet of the engine, plus the fuel's mass flow times the V9, 900 meters per second. And you notice that V0 is 0. If even we use that, we're going to get 0. And all this would be times 1 e minus 3 to calculate the kilonewtons. Now this is going to get us to 91.8 kilonewtons of thrust.